How did they solve murders in Rome? There were no security cameras, DNA testing, or fingerprint technology. But Rome had its own distinct court system. And some cases were solved so effectively that they would astound even modern CSI teams. The murder of Pedanius Secundus in 61 AD was one of the most complicated criminal cases in the ancient world. Rome, AD 61. One of the richest men in the city was Pedanius Secundus. He had a big home and 400 slaves. But one morning, they found him dead in his chamber. Who killed? Not known. How many suspects? 400 slaves. How are we going to fix this? Said Marcus Flavius, the city prefect, to his staff. How are we going to question 400 people? This question explained how the Roman legal system worked, because the way police work in Rome was quite similar to how they do it now. The Roman legal system was built on three main ideas. 1. Accusatio, accusation. Someone must accuse someone else of a crime. 2. Interrogatio, interrogation. Suspects must be interrogated in a systematic way. 3. Probatio, proof. There must be proof of the crime. The quaestor investigating magistrate, Gaius Lucilius, who looked into the Pedanius affair, was like a modern detective. We'll look at the scene first, he instructed his colleagues. Then we'll get witnesses together. The ways that Rome looked into crimes were amazing. Scene analysis. Everything that happens at the scene is written down. Blood analysis. The bloodstains are looked at to see which way they go and how much there is. Identifying weapons. The size and shape of the wound tell you what kind of weapon was used. Determining the time of death. The state of the body is used to figure out when the person died. Lucilius found the following in Pedanius' bedroom. 3 stab wounds in the chest. No defensive wounds. The attack came out of nowhere. There was no struggle. Thus the room was not a mess. There were valuable things in situ. No theft. Lucilius replied. This was a personal murder. The killer knew Pedanius. Rome has also improved its methods for questioning witnesses. They asked each slave questions one at a time. The questions were all the same. Where were you last night? When was the last time you saw Pedanius? Did you have any problems with him? Did you hear any other slaves complain? The first 50 questions didn't provide us any important clues. The 51st interrogation, on the other hand, was different. The slave Tertius looked nervous. You're not like the others, Lucilius said. Why are you scared? I didn't do anything, Tertius muttered. 748. No, together said you did. But you do know something. Rome had a lot of advanced interrogation psychology. The interrogator employed many methods to induce the suspect to talk. Quiet tactics, making the suspect uncomfortable. By making them wait a long time, cross-examination. Showing that the statement doesn't make sense. Witness comparison. Looking at other witness statements to see how they match up. Psychological stress. Scaring them by reminding them of the consequences for the crime. Tertius finally spoke. Drusus was quite mad at the boss. He said, I'm going to kill him. Who is Drusus? Pedanius' own servant. He had been beaten by the boss. This was a key piece of information. They asked Drusus questions. At first, he denied it, but the proof kept coming in against him. The mechanism for gathering evidence in Rome was highly thorough. Physical evidence, hair, blood, and pieces of fabric, circumstantial evidence, motive, chance, and means witness statements. Statements checked through cross-examination, character, testimony, the suspect's past, and how they act. The evidence in Drusus' case was as follows. Reason: Pedanius had hit him not long ago. Opportunity: he was always at home as a personal helper. Means: he could get to a kitchen knife. But the most essential piece of evidence was Rome's peculiar method. Recreatio crimines, which means reenactment of the crime. Drusus, Lucilius, replied, show me exactly what you did that night. That night, Drusus had to show, step by step, where he was standing, which door he went through, and how long he waited. Drusus made a mistake during this demonstration. He said, the boss was asleep, so I came in quietly. Lucilius said, stop. Earlier, you mentioned you didn't go into the boss's chamber. How do you know he was sleeping now? This paradox put Drusus in a tough spot. Cross-examination and logical analysis were the strengths of the Roman legal system. In Rome, a confession was very important, but they weren't forced to confess. Instead, they applied psychological methods, moral pressure, the gods know what's right, logical persuasion. The proof already makes you look guilty. Mercy play. You will get resentment if you confess. Drusus finally admitted, yes, I killed him. But he was hitting me like a dog. I couldn't stand it anymore. The case was solved with this admission. But in Rome, the real trouble started when the sentence was given. Roman law said that if a slave killed his master, all the slaves in the same home had to die. This was the law that came from the Senatus Consultum Senate decree. Some senators said, we can't kill 400 innocent people. But the law is clear, said others. If we don't follow this law, slaves will stop being disciplined. For days, people argued about this. The great lawyers of Rome had distinct ideas. Gaius, if one person does something wrong, everyone else suffers. Oppianus, the law is the law. There are no exceptions. Papinianus says, each case must be looked at on its own. In the end, Emperor Nero made the decision himself. Only Drusus will die. The other slaves will be let go. This choice started a change in Roman law. Now, there was less collective punishment. The Padinius case showed how fair Rome's court system was. But this was just one example. Every day, hundreds of crimes were committed and solved in Rome. In Rome, the most common forms of crimes were homicidium, murder, the most terrible offense, punished by death, furtum, theft. You could get 2 to 4 times the value of the stolen goods as a punishment. Adultery, punishable by death or exile. Falsum, forgery, punishable by amputation or banishment. Violence, fine or exile for each type of crime. There were different ways to look into it. Murder, investigation, lasting 30 days and done by the quaestor prosecutor. The aedile mayor led the investigation into the theft, which lasted 15 days. Adultery, investigation. The head of the family had particular rights. Forgery. The praetor judge made the decision directly. The ordeal divine judgment system was not one of the more intriguing ways that Rome solved crimes. They used facts and logic. For instance, the secret of the gold exchanger case in 55 AD. People said that Gaius Marius, the gold exchanger, stole gold from his customers. But how might this be shown? Marcus, the investigating prefect, set a smart trap. He sent a false customer to watch how Marius worked without him knowing. The false customer gave him a test gold piece that was gold-plated on the surface and had lead within. Marius assumed he was trading it for real gold, but he had been tricked. The prefect remarked, "This is the test gold we gave you. You took it." This was a current sting operation method from 2,000 years ago. It was also interesting how Rome did forensic work. To find out what killed someone, for example, looking at the wounds, to find out what weapon was used, bloodstains, to figure out what happened during the attack condition of the body, to find out how long ago death happened, checking the internal organs to see if there was poisoning. The bodies recovered in Pompeii in 79. Ads show how much Rome knew about forensic science. It is easy to tell what caused the deaths of the bodies that were preserved by volcanic ash. Rome's system of criminal justice was also fair. For people, exile, fines, and the death penalty rare. For slaves, beating, hanging, and fighting in gladiatorial games. For foreigners, deportation or servitude. But the most essential Roman idea was an essential finger, which means presumption of innocence. The person who was accused was innocent until they were found guilty. For 1,000 years, the Roman judicial system worked and laid the groundwork for the present legal system. A lot of the legal words we use now come from Rome. Corpus delicti, proof of a crime. Alibi, being in a different place. Habeas corpus, the right to possess a corpse. In the act, the most important thing Rome did was make justice more organized. Injustice was no longer a personal issue. It was a state issue. Roman methods would surprise modern CSI teams. Some methods that were utilized 2,000 years ago still work today. cross-examination of witness statements, investigating a crime scene and gathering evidence, profiling in psychology, reasoning that makes sense. Many countries still use Rome's corpus juris civilis, civil law collection, as the basis for their legal systems. What kind of justice system would Roman lawyers have set up if they had access to today's technology? If you lived in ancient Rome, would you trust this justice system?